In December of 1996 in Boulder, Colorado, JonBenét Patricia Ramsey was murdered. Her body was found in the basement of their house. She was 6 years old. To this day, it is unknown exactly who killed her. The Boulder police initially suspected the parents of staging the murder. The district attorney later concluded that there was insufficient evidence to pursue an indictment. In 2003, trace amounts of blood was found on JonBenét's clothes, and after further examination, it was found that the DNA did not match either of the parents, and instead belonged to an unknown male. There was a handwritten ransom note found by the mother on the kitchen staircase. According to a report by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, there were indications that the mother had written the note. Later, certified handwriting experts that were cited by the federal court ruled it highly unlikely that the mother wrote it. The police were baffled by the length of the note, and stated that it was very strange for a ransom note to be written at the scene of the crime. Apparently, the note was written on a piece of paper that was taken from the mother's desk. The strangest part of this letter is how it ends. What exactly does Victory SBTC stand for? And why would the perpetrator want to sign it in such a way? Especially if it could possibly lead to their arrest. And what's even stranger is that nobody has ever been convicted of the crime despite this. The meaning of the acronym has been widely disputed, but a popular belief is that it stands for Saved by the Cross. And the victory could mean victory over Satan. There are some journalists and other people out there that believe it could be a reference to Subic Bay Training Center, which was once a naval base. And while the father was there from 1968 to 1969, and while there may have been a training center there, as far as I can tell, Subic Bay never used SBTC as an acronym, so that theory is widely disregarded. The ransom note demanded a strangely specific sum of money, that being $118,000. But why? The father had said that the amount coincided with how much he earned for the prior year's Christmas bonus. Some had also theorized that the number referenced Psalm 118 from the Bible. The first verse of Psalm 118 reads, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever." And it continues on like that, thanking God for a multitude of different reasons for 29 verses. According to Osgood Perkins, the sole writer and director of Longlegs, the movie was inspired by and very loosely based on this case.
The murder took place approaching Christmas, and one present that the parents had gotten for JonBenét was a life-size replica doll of herself, wearing one of her pageant dresses, he explains. It was in a cardboard box in the basement, 15 feet from where she was killed, and there was something so insane about that, I cataloged it away.
I don't care what they're being paid. Neon's marketing department needs a substantial raise. There isn't another movie I can think of that was marketed nearly as well as Longlegs.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
Neon's marketing team figuratively filled the air with intrigue, never giving too much away, but showing just enough for people to hunger for more.
Please, sir, I want some more.
Carrot on a stick? Ha! Think more like coconut shrimp on a stick. I like coconut shrimp. Yummy! They presented the public with numerous mysterious trailers, posts on Instagram of a red phone number over black on a billboard, and if you called this number, you would hear the chilling voice of Nicolas Cage as Longlegs on the other end.
Little angel. Happy birthday to you.
Neon also posted newspaper ads on their Instagram with the strange encrypted language from the movie. They even created a fake blog post, thebirthdaymurders.net, which displays a basic website from the 1990s, describing the serial killer Longlegs and their crimes. They also posted a video that showed Micah Monroe from the movie, except they recorded her heartbeat, and this was the first time she ever saw Nicolas Cage in makeup, and her heartbeat climbed like crazy. Which only increased the public's curiosity. She was face to face with the enigmatic antagonist Longlegs, a character that they showed just enough to the audience to intrigue them, but not enough to spoil anything. All of this combined with their constant barrage of advertisements claiming that this was the best horror movie made in years, displaying a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5 out of 5 scores from numerous publications, and quotes like, the most terrifying horror movie of 2024. or a modern Silence of the Lambs, and the best horror film of the year. People were waiting with bated breath to jump into seats. People all over the world were talking about this movie on social media, which only made the masses want to see the movie more. And then it came out. Tickets sold like hotcakes. For an R-rated movie that cost $10 million to make, promotion included, this movie exploded in the box office, making more than double its cost on opening weekend.
What the fuck is that?
What's the matter? My legs get thicker as they go down. I don't see a problem with it. This video is brought to you by Manscaped. You may have noticed something about me. What has changed? Why, of course, dear viewer. My beautiful face has been shaved. And you might be wondering, how did he do it? How does it look so wonderful? Well, I'll tell you. Manscaped. Thank you so much, Manscaped, for sponsoring this video. Look at all the goodies we have here. Just listen to that hum. Now that's nice. Level up your grooming game with the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, which includes the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This is incredible for beard trimming or making yourself look immaculate where it counts. You know what I'm talking about? You'll also get their Crop Soother, a ball aftershave lotion. You know how annoying it is when you shave down there and it gets all irritated? Not anymore. Those days are over. And of course, it can't just look good down there. You gotta make it smell good too with the Crop Preserver. It's ball deodorant, my dudes. Make your package smell great. Do you have extra long nose hairs or ear hairs? Then they got you covered there too. Not only that, they'll send you some boxer briefs. Look how amazing these are. They're nice and silky and stretchy. They're cool to the touch. Let's just say after using their products, not only will your shaft and dangly bits thank you, but so will the ladies. So click the link below and get your hands on a Performance Package 5.0 today. When you use my promo code Elvis, you'll get 20% off your order, plus free international shipping. Thank you so much, Manscaped, for sponsoring this video. Now back to the review. There was an interview with Nicolas Cage conducted by the channel Extra TV. And during this interview, the interviewer starts off the interview by saying he's terrified of Nick Cage.
And I have to say, I'm terrified just standing here talking to you right now.
And Nick responds, thanks, I guess.
Well, thank you, I guess.
Nick then goes on to clarify that it's just a character.
It's a character.
As if we needed further clarification of that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Like as if we were confused that Nicolas Cage himself might be an actual serial killer. Around 30 seconds into the interview, the camera zooms in on Nick Cage's lip, which is kind of weird. Nick then talks about how Oz Perkins and himself both had their mothers in mind when they made this movie. So that's strange. Nick Cage does go on to explain in an interview with Associated Press that his mother suffered from a mental disorder.
But she was certainly touched, sadly, with a mental illness.
And he used the character to tap into how she may have struggled with this. Obviously, I don't think Nick Cage's mother is like Longlegs from this movie. I don't think anybody does. Well, to be fair, I don't know much about Nick Cage's mother. Apparently, this will be the last time we see Nick Cage play a serial killer. Which is kind of disappointing.
I'm not trying to complain or anything,
because I think he plays wacky, weird roles like that really well.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
In an interview with IndieWire, Cage said this: I know the phone's gonna be ringing off the hook to play serial killers after Longlegs, and that's not really what I like to do. I don't like violence. I don't want to play people who are hurting people. I think there's a secret caveat there that if they pay enough, he'll do it. So you heard that, Hollywood. If you want him to play roles like this, you better pay up.
Show me the money!
Also, according to Oz Perkins, Nicolas Cage has this weird auditory superpower when it comes to his voice and leveling. Perkins had said, the sound guy came over to me one day. He comes up to me a couple of days into Nick being on set, and he's like, Oz, I've never seen anything like it.
When Nick goes big, he goes right to the line. It's like anything more, a decibel or two over that would clip, and it would be hard to use. When he goes big and he yells and he's crazy, he goes right to the line. And then when he goes down and he goes soft and he's whispering and he's barely talking, he goes right to the line. He's like, anything past that line, you wouldn't be able to use it, but he knows where the lines are. And I was like, man, that's nuts. He's like, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
How does he do it, people? Oz Perkins was asked what was the first word that comes to mind when he thinks of Nicolas Cage, and he says huge.
Huge.
I know he probably meant huge in the bigger than life sense, but let's be honest. He was talking about his enormous height. Nick Cage is very tall. That being said, I would have liked it if they made his legs a little longer. I'm not sure how they would have done that, but somehow give him this like strange, uncanny, off-putting proportions, even if it was through the use of heels, because they didn't do that in this movie. How dare they make a horror movie called Longlegs, starring Nicolas Cage as the villain, without giving him unsettlingly long legs? This is kind of what I was imagining when I first heard of this movie, but I understand the need to make the character more grounded in reality, although this movie does have some supernatural elements, so I don't know why they couldn't lean into that a little bit more. The movie starts with a rounded corner box aspect ratio. The movie treats the audience like a child looking through a Viewmaster. We hear muffled and distant mumblings of Longlegs in the background. We're then shown lyrics to a song named Get It On by the band T-Rex, and they read, "Well, you're slim and you're weak. You've got the teeth of a hydra upon you. You're dirty sweet and you're my girl." The original meaning of these lyrics is fairly obvious. They describe a woman someone is fond of, and this woman has clashing traits. Longlegs is twisting the interpretation of these lyrics, but not changing the words. The top comment on a lyric video for this song on YouTube mentions Longlegs, so I'm definitely not the first person to try and find some deeper meaning to this. We'll return to these lyrics at the very end of this video. We join the titular character in their car as they drive up to a house. Upon seeing the car outside, a young girl exits the house to greet them. Before doing so, she puts on a red jacket, and it's such a wonderful and aesthetically pleasing use of contrasting colors. Her bright red jacket against the white blanket of snow complement each other so well. Oz Perkins is great with color, camera angles, and lighting to create a desired tone. He manages to create such a beautifully eerie atmosphere by combining all of these elements. Anyone who has seen his underrated movie Gretel and Hansel can attest to this.
I'm called Gretel, and this rough one here is my brother Hansel.
I unabashedly love that movie, to be honest. Longlegs says to the girl, the iconic, "It seems I wore my long legs today. What happens if I," before dropping to their knees to get down to the young girl's level. Title card. And the song Jewel by T-Rex plays as the intro credits roll. You might be wondering why Oz Perkins decided to use the band T-Rex in this movie. Like, why that band specifically? Especially seeing how this movie is littered with mystery. Oz Perkins had told Rolling Stone the following: "If the left hand is playing the plot, the right hand is playing the spirit. The right hand is playing the art, the mystery, the wonder, the curiosity, the beauty, the glamour." So I'd say that the T-Rex stuff had nothing to do with the plot, but everything to do with the vibe. Honestly, I respect that. Not everything has to have a deeper meaning. Sometimes creating art is exactly that, combining different things until it feels right. During the red saturated intro credits, there are some don't blink or you'll miss them single frame images of crime scenes and characters from the movie flashed on screen. Let me be a gentleman and show them to you here, so you can see them clearly, even though you'll see them later in the movie. Well, most of them anyway. You're welcome. The movie follows Agent Lee Harker, a young FBI agent played by Micah Monroe. She has semi-latent psychic abilities, and as you would likely be able to guess, during the movie she tries to uncover the mysteries surrounding the serial killer Longlegs. During a meeting at the very beginning of the movie, she stares forebodingly over at her partner, who she knows will face a terrible fate, but she doesn't know exactly when, how, or why. She just has a bad feeling about him. Might I also add that this man has an impressively angular face.
Oh yeah.
Giving Ewan Mitchell, or Aemon Targaryen, a run for his money. Later in the suburbs, Harker's spidey senses tingle when they're near a specific house. She suspects that it contains the perpetrator they're searching for.
He's in there.
Her partner knocks on the door and is instantly shot dead. Harker has colossal balls of titanium.
You got some big testicles to pull this off, bro.
So she walks in this mostly empty house covered in plastic with her gun drawn and finds a man sitting on his bed with his hands up. No idea why he killed Aemon Targaryen's brother, but decided not to kill her. Perhaps he only had one bullet. Also, why did he answer the door in the first place? You'd think that would be the last thing he would do. Perhaps he simply didn't know Harker was there. In which case, I think it would have been better if she caught him gathering a bucket of water and bleach, or gathering his things to escape, instead of just sitting on his bed and giving up. Harker is told by her superiors that Longlegs doesn't leave behind any trace that he was there at his crime scenes.
But according to physical evidence, he never is.
Yet later in the film, he's seen parking at crime scenes, entering homes without gloves on, and unless he didn't touch anything, which is hard to do if you're opening doors and stuff, there's a high likelihood he would definitely leave some sort of trace. Unless, of course, the Harker household is the one and only time he parked there with his own car and decided not to wear gloves. In the next scene, we see Harker being questioned while a projector flashes images in front of her.
What is the number?
Think Blade Runner 2049's baseline test, but for psychics. We learn later that Harker managed to guess 8 out of 16 random numbers accurately.
You beat that numbers generator 8 times.
Between 0 and 100. So according to this test, her psychic abilities are around 50% accurate. After this, Harker's boss, Agent Carter, tasks her with solving the mystifying Longlegs case. He tells her that there are coded messages left behind at the scene of every crime.
We have 10 letters like it.
Each one signed Longlegs.
And all of them signed with one word. Longlegs.
Agent Carter suspects that there's something that's making seemingly normal men brutally kill their families, but he can't be sure what it could be. Whatever it is, Longlegs is behind it. All of the victims have daughters that have birthdays that always land on the 14th of any given month.
Birthdays are on the 14th of any given month.
Strangely, we find out that Harker's birthday also lands on the 14th, but she doesn't bring this up until Carter does, much later into the movie.
And that makes your birthday the 14th.
Agent Carter tells Harker that her mother called in a report of a trespasser when Harker was a child.
Give a description of a trespasser. Tall and pale.
When the scene with the trespasser is shown, you see her mother notice the trespasser and attempt to make a phone call, but there's no service. And after trying a couple times, she hangs up. I guess Agent Carter was lying.
You're a damn liar, man.
So Harker gets to work. She listens to the recording of a 911 call from the father of one of these crimes. He appears to be in a sort of trance.
That's not my daughter.
And it seems as though he believes his daughter is an imposter of sorts. Sus. And he believes he has to kill her. He's mostly speaking to himself and says that he has to do it while she's sleeping.
When she's sleeping, it's the best time to do it.
Why he called 911 in the first place doesn't make much sense to me. Was he afraid for his safety from his young daughter? Did he believe that she was possessed by a demon or something? Did a part of him want the police to stop him from committing the crime? There is some pretty cool imagery used during this part. Music swells as we see many crime photos, and then we see bubbling bloody water after an image of a victim in a bathtub. The book, The Golden Bough, A Study in Magic and Religion by J.G. Fraser, is being read by Longlegs in this scene. This is a 12-volume series of anthropological texts on the observations of mythical and religious practices, taboos, and ceremonies from around the world. It's a cool little Easter egg, I guess. We learn that Harker is severely socially awkward in a scene where Agent Carter forces her to have dinner with his family. This scene was painfully relatable. It brought back so many social-related horror stories from my own life. Also, upon my first viewing, I knew instantly that something horrible was going to happen to this family at some point throughout the movie. It's not exactly subtle given what we've been shown and told so far about the crimes. While Harker might suffer from social anxiety, we've already established that she has balls of steel.
Your balls are getting bigger!
Later that night, at her home, a person knocks on her door. And she didn't order any Grubhub. She notices someone outside, so she rushes out there with her pistol in hand. She then notices that they somehow slipped past her, and they're now inside her home. She rushes inside and finds an encrypted Longlegs note on her desk. And he was kind enough to give her a clue on how to decrypt it. Longlegs gave her, an FBI agent, that could use this clue to more easily track them down, a decryption key. Longlegs probably wanted them to be able to decrypt the messages, because why leave them if nobody could ever read them? He must have been getting real bored of the other FBI agents continuing to be too stupid to hire a cryptologist to decrypt his messages. Whoever was working this case before Harker must have been the disfigured giant from the Goonies. Or someone of that same caliber. Also, for some reason, Harker never has the FBI search her place for prints after this. Many of Longlegs' encrypted messages contain misspellings and poor grammar after being decoded. According to IMDb, this is an homage to the Zodiac Killer, who was also known for his coded messages containing typos, which often made it more difficult to decode his messages. Also, Longlegs quotes the poem Satan Says by Sharon Olds.
I'm locked in a little cedar box with a picture of shepherds pasted onto the central panel between carvings. The box stands on curved legs. It has a gold, heart-shaped lock and no key. I am trying to write my way out of the closed box redolent of cedar. Satan comes to me in the locked box and says, I'll get you out. Say my father is a shit. I say my father is a shit and Satan laughs and says, it's opening. Say your mother is a pimp. My mother is again. Something opens and breaks in my ceiling. My spine uncurls in the cedar box like the big back of the ballerina man with a ruby eye, resting beside me on satin.
The decrypted message that Longlegs leaves for Harker reads as follows. Tell them how you got this, how it came into your head. I'll cut off her hanging milk tits and bleed your mommy dead. Her hanging milk what? This movie can't be real. Harker continues her research on the murders and looks up old newspaper articles. One of them in particular stood out to me. Check out the bottom leftmost line. It reads, hath fourth tree, days fifth subdue are called. Huh? What does that mean? That's the biggest mystery in the movie. The dates of specific crimes line up in an algorithm created by Longlegs, and when the dates are connected, it forms a satanic inverted triangle. If you're 555, then I'm... Harker and Carter search a barn connected by one of Longlegs' murders. They discover a doll with a strange hollow metal ball in its head that emits an odd frequency when a device is held up to it.
Listen.
In the next scene, Longlegs visits a convenience store, and the girl at the counter calls her dad because the creepy dude is back.
Daddy! That gross guy is back again!
And it's implied that this has happened before, and this is a convenience store that Longlegs frequents.
What day is your birthday, little angel?
On the drive back, Longlegs screams this in his car.
Daddy! Mommy! Make me! And save me from the hell of living!
Nick Cage had said that he tried to evoke a sort of empathy in the psychotic mind of the character.
It was more than that for me. I tried to find what was emotional, what drove this character insane. Can I find empathy in the character and compassion, even though he's doing these incredibly horrible things? It's not him per se, it's the voices, you know.
This could be signifying to the audience that Longlegs had likely been treated poorly by people for a long time. Perhaps he never had parents that protected him when he was younger. Mocking the girl yelling for her dad could be rooted in his own pain and suffering. Harker then visits a patient named Carrie Ann Camera. Kind of a weird last name. Hey guys, my name is Rosemarie Refrigerator. Carrie Ann resides at a mental hospital. She had survived one of the murder sprees because she just happened to be elsewhere when it occurred. Longlegs had visited her not long before Harker did, but we never see this happen. And Carrie Ann appears to have been brainwashed somehow by him. Kiernan Shipka does a pretty great job in this scene. I love the writing for her dialogue.
Like if he told me to take a jumpy out a window, I'd surely do. Just happy as peaches to watch the ground as it come up to meet me.
She calls Harker a dirtsy, flirtsy old angel bitch.
You dirtsy, flirtsy old angel bitch.
Amazing. There's a scene of Longlegs sitting in bed in a red illuminated basement where he makes dolls. Candles are lit, a T-Rex album cover hangs on the wall next to 3 images of what appear to be nude women. The pictures of women on his wall make me think of 2 possibilities. 1, that he just thinks they're beautiful, like any other person. Or 2, he paid for cheap plastic surgery over the years to try and achieve a similar type of beauty, but of course failed miserably, only making his painful existence all the worse. I mean, just look at him. Throughout the movie, it seems as though Harker's relationship with her mother is relatively normal. She speaks to her pleasantly over the phone and then visits her in a scene later on. We learn that her mother is very religious and continuously asks her if she is saying her prayers.
Do you still say your prayers? Are you still saying your prayers?
The prayers were probably satanic, which is why Harker tells her mother that they scare her.
They scared me.
When visiting her mother's house, it's apparent that there's something off about her. Her mind is working slower. She sways back and forth. She repeats words over and over.
Blood, blood, blood.
And laughs maniacally when Harker tells her that she never said a single prayer.
I never said my prayers, never once.
This is strange to Harker because she was expecting a very different reaction from her mother, who she knows as a very devout religious person. Harker observes a cockroach emerge from underneath the closed basement door of this house. Stacks of canned food are seen on the floor beside the refrigerator near the doorway. However, in the next shot, when Lee approaches the door, the cans are no longer there. Must be Satan's doing. Throughout the movie, Harker gets these visions of slithering snakes under a red light. signifying that Harker can sense the devil's work. I'm not religious myself, but according to what I've found online, an ancient serpent is used to identify Satan and Lilith in the New Testament.
Of Adam's first wife, Lilith, it is told, the which he loved before the gift of Eve, that, ere the snakes, her sweet tongue could deceive, and her enchanted hair was the first gold. And still she sits, young while the earth is old, and subtly of herself contemplative, draws men to watch the bright web she can weave, till heart and body and life are in its hold.
So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast down to the earth, and his angels were cast down with him.
Harker learns that she took a picture of Longlegs when she was younger. She gives the photo to Carter, and they start a manhunt with it. There's a really cool dissolve transition from a doll head on a desk to Longlegs' face. They find him at a bus stop waiting for a bus, to assumedly take him far away, since they're found with a briefcase in hand. We're never told exactly how they found him, only that they did. This is even sillier when they reveal at the end of the movie that he was hiding out in Harker's mother's basement the whole time, and nobody knew this. I guess she didn't visit home often, what the hell? We're shown an interrogation tape of Longlegs, where he sings happy birthday to Lee Harker.
Happy birthday to you.
We find out that their name is Dale Ferdinand Cobble.
State your name for the camera.
Dale Ferdinand Cobble.
Apparently in this movie there's an Agent Kurt Cobble, played by Scott Nicholson. So are they related somehow? Kind of a strange last name to repeat. And I don't think this Agent Kurt Cobble is ever referred to in the movie. Harker knows that the Triangle of Satan still needs one more death to be completed, and it'll happen soon. So she questions Longlegs to get answers. This scene between them is awesome. Nicolas Cage is wonderful, like always. Even though he mainly just looks like a pale, botched plastic surgery victim, he still manages to make himself creepy as hell.
Knock, knock on the farmhouse door.
I think it's kind of weird that they gave him good teeth. Like, why they mess up the rest of his face, but his teeth are like perfectly fine and straight. When the interview ends, he suddenly kills himself by smashing the ever-living shit out of his own head on the table in front of him after saying, "Hail Satan." I was honestly so taken aback by this when I first saw the movie because it's so unexpected. It's so jarring, and before dying, Longlegs had told Harker to ask her mother for answers. Harker and Agent Browning visit her mother's place to bring her in for questioning. Her mother blows Browning's brains out with a double-barrel shotgun. It's a genuinely unnerving scene. They show her approaching the vehicle from behind. We find out that a doll of Harker had been made, and her mother brings it outside to blow its head off. Harker reaches toward her head in agony as an odd smoke emerges from her. She collapses, and that same smoke can be seen from the destroyed doll's head. These specific dolls have devil magic imbued into them via the hollow metal balls inside their heads, and Longlegs was merely the devil's hand. The dolls have a sort of spiritual link to the people they're based on, sort of like a voodoo doll. In this way, the dolls can be used via the devil to shape what they can remember, but it also provides Harker with an odd psychic gift. I'm not positive that the metal ball or the doll is what gave Harker her gifts. It's just the only real connection I can make, aside from one thing that I'll be mentioning later. When her mother destroyed the metal ball in the doll's head, it returned Harker's memories. We learn that Harker's mother was forced to help Longlegs and the devil, or else they would kill her daughter. She was used as a delivery service for the dolls. She would bring them to the families that Satan wanted as a sacrifice. As the devil worked its magic in the shadows, Harker then receives a call from, I guess, Satan? That being Agent Carter's daughter's birthday.
It's my beautiful wife, Vanna, and our daughter, Miss Ruby.
How in the hell didn't Agent Carter think of his own daughter if her birthday landed on the same day that the final birthday murder was meant to take place? Brother, how?
January 13th, 1974. That's one day before your 9th birthday. That makes your birthday the 14th.
Are you kidding me?
Why didn't he mention that his daughter's birthday landed on this exact date? He mentioned this to no one. If it was my daughter, I would have her locked in a padded cell until the next day. Longlegs' car is found at Harker's mom's place. So she takes this car to Agent Carter's house, where the final scene of the movie takes place. You see that ornament hanging from the rear view mirror? It's a bottle opener in the shape of the zodiac sign Capricorn. This is the zodiac sign for those born from December 22nd to January 19th. This range includes Harker, who was born on January 14th. So pretty interesting. Pretty cute. When she arrives and Agent Carter closes the door behind her, we get a glimpse of Satan in the reflection of the glass on the door. Very spooky. Harker arrived too late. Satan had already dug its claws into the family. We have to assume that by this point, Harker's mother has been completely inculcated by the devil, to the point of being completely controlled by it without her realizing it. Her shooting the head of Harker's doll was her final stand against the devil's power before giving in entirely to its will.
The woman is already dead, and the little girl will be next.
This final scene is odd because Harker arrives and the family is truly gonzo at this point, and she knows this. It's clear as day what's about to happen.
Carter, that's my mom. She's the accomplice. She's Cobble's accomplice.
Sit down. And
But Harker stands there paralyzed when Agent Carter all but says he's gonna murder his own wife in the kitchen. It's heavily implied.
I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
No, I'll be right back. You'll still be in the kitchen.
I do kind of understand why Harker would fail to act right away. Agent Carter is someone she knew very well, so she's in an incredibly uncomfortable situation right now. I think most people would be paralyzed with indecision in her circumstance, especially with their own mother in the room rambling insanely. She stands there even as she hears Carter's wife being stabbed to death in the other room. She ends up killing Carter and her own mother to save the child. Harker attempts to shoot the head of the doll in the room, but she's out of bullets. The movie ends with Longlegs saying, "Hail Satan," and blowing the audience a kiss. The song that plays during the credits is the same song that was referenced in the intro, which was Get It On by T-Rex. It plays as the credits scroll down instead of up, like they would traditionally. You know, because the credits are going down to hell, dude. Also, according to IMDb, Oz Perkins thought of only 2 actors to play Longlegs, Nicolas Cage and Brad Pitt. Yeah, he's lucky Cage said yes. This is the second time Neon worked with Nicolas Cage. The first time was with the movie Pig. That's 2 for 2. They need to work together more. I like this movie a lot. A decoded birthday card in the film reads, "Stood upon the sands of the sea."
And I'll do it until I stand upon the sand of the sea, and I see a beast rise up out of the sea.
This is a reference to Revelation 13:1 from the Bible. It reads, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy." So who was Harker's biological father? He's never once mentioned in the movie.
Waiting in the wings. In her father's wings.
Some could argue that Longlegs was a sort of unconventional and tenebrous father figure to Harker, but another theory I'd like to share is that there simply was no father. There never was. And Harker is, in a sense, the opposite of Jesus, the devil's daughter. Instead of immaculate conception, think soiled conception. Also, later on in the movie, we get a flashback of young Lee Harker, and there's a school project report poster about the life cycle of a butterfly. This could represent a plan to one day unleash Harker onto the world once Longlegs is dead. This could be telling us that Harker is the Antichrist, but she has to kind of blossom into that role.
I knew then that the work we were doing was immaculate.
That brings us back to the lyrics from the beginning of the movie. Well, you're slim and you're weak. You've got the teeth of a hydra upon you. You're dirty sweet, and you're my girl.
I know you're not afraid of a little bit of dark. Because you are the dark. Hail Satan.
Yeah!